Welcome into the New Orleans Saints Postgame Show presented by Verizon. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, joined by John DeShazier here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, where your New Orleans Saints defeated the Arizona Cardinals 31-9 today. They advanced to 7-1 on the season and go into the bye week on 6 straight wins. JD, I mean, you got Drew Brees back today. You didn't have Alvin Kamara, but you had a lot of other key pieces here for this Saints team. You can't expect anything better from this Saints team.
Yeah, well, there was going to be an emotional lift having Drew Brees back anyway, but then you get the performance that he comes out with, which is phenomenal considering he missed 5 weeks. They dominate this game. They win it. The defense steps up as usual. But, of course, having Drew Brees back means a lot to this team going to the bye week. Yeah, he wanted to get back early. You didn't know whether or not he rushed it. A lot of people thought he rushed it, but when he said he was ready, he proved he was ready.
And a lot of people said he would probably come back in, sooner than people expected. They said, 6 to 8 weeks, and people said he would probably be back sooner. But I thought an awesome moment today in the Superdome when we were on the sideline here is near the end of the game, they played Choppa style. Teddy Bridgewater was on the sideline. He did his little bike life dance. And then, he went into the game with under 2 minutes remaining, and fans all throughout the Superdome were cheering his name, chanting Teddy. And he surely did a great job to get this team where they were to this point. But Drew Brees, it was nice to have him back on the offense today, and the offense didn't seem to skip a beat with him back.
Yeah, well, he's been running this offense since 2006, so he just needed to get his rhythm back. But big kudos to the fans. They're knowledgeable fans. They understand what Teddy Bridgewater meant to this team during that 5-game winning streak. Without Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater did more than just hold it in the middle of the road. He really contributed to this offense. But then you get Drew Brees back. This offense has really been built around him since 2006. It looked that way when he got back out there. The offense did not skip a beat whatsoever, and that's kind of what you expect of them. Actually, the way this team plays today, you almost hate to see the bye come.
Right. You're watching, the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. We will have the press conferences live of Sean Payton, and I think Drew Brees, following today's game, will get you over to the podium as soon as they are up. JD, no Alvin Kamara for the Saints today heading into the bye week. He was out last week with a knee injury, I believe. Obviously they want him to be full and healthy for 2 weeks from now against the Atlanta Falcons. But Latavius Murray, he had an excellent game last week, the week before, and then I think this is his finest performance so far for Latavius.
Yeah, you wondered what the drop, if there would be a drop with moving from Mark Ingram to Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray runs for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Today he runs for more than 100 yards again. He gets a touchdown receiving, a touchdown rushing. He looks to be a perfect complement to Alvin Kamara. You get him out there, you get him in rhythm. He's a big guy. He's a lot more agile than you think, and he's really produced these last couple of games.
Absolutely, and it was funny. We kind of saw Taysom Hill's production go down while Teddy Bridgewater was in at quarterback, because Taysom Hill's your only option if Teddy Bridgewater went down. But today we saw Taysom Hill back out there, Sean Payton working him into the offense a little bit, and it's Taysom gets some Hill, because he just trucked defenders time and time again.
Yeah, he's back into the role that they envisioned for him. He's the number 3 quarterback, but he's also playing tight end. He's playing a little receiver.
We're going to go ahead and go to Sean Payton at the podium.
Look, it'll be good tape to watch. I thought defensively again, I was real pleased with how we played. Offensively, I felt in the first half we left some opportunities to score out there, and then I was pleased in the second half. Fortunately, we were able to separate ourselves a little bit. Any questions? Look, honestly, we talked about this decision, and we really just paid attention to the doctors, and we weren't going to be careless with it. He threw it really well last Monday, and I know there was this sentiment to wait to the bye. And look, if a player is 100% healthy and feels ready to go, and someone like him is who I trust, and he looked fabulous all week in practice, and this is an important game. It's each one of these 16 games have the same value. So we're close to the 6-week mark now. But to have a game like we had today, and we scored a lot in the second half, it was a good win. It's been real steady. Man, he's got he's one of these runners who's got good vision, and he can kind of put his foot in the ground and pick up speed in a hurry. He's a fantastic teammate. All the things that we look for in a player he has, and so he's been a good addition to us.
That's 30-plus touches for him 2 weeks in a row. Is there something about him that he's sort of built to be able to?
Well, certainly he's one of those backs that you feel like as the game goes on that he's got good stamina. He's in great shape. I don't know that you go in knowing that you're going to have those type of touches, and we got in to the fourth quarter with a pretty good lead. So, but I was pleased with how we ran. A good stop, obviously, on their end of the field. It was a real good play. I think, look, it's to the defense's credit. Again, they were one-dimensional in our ability to run the ball, possess the ball. I think all those things that we talk about, relative to winning games, I think kind of came to fruition in this game. Well, you're right there, almost on the 30, right? The 29, 30-yard line. So, yeah, it's taking advantage of the field position, and that was one of a number of big plays. I thought we contested throws well. I thought we did a lot of things well.
Sean, do you know why the clock didn't stop when Murray went out of bounds towards the end of the first half?
Say it again.
Do you know why the clock kept running when Murray went out of bounds?
I think they ruled that his progress was going away from the line of scrimmage. If that hand by the official just keeps rolling, you have to finish going forward on the sideline. If they ever feel like you were finished going backwards, they'll keep it going.
Sean, did you have any limitations or adjustments to Drew play calling at all?
None. No, it was really the defense we're seeing and putting our plan together. So there weren't any, well, this week let's not do. There wasn't one.
Sean,
He was 100%. Go ahead.
as far as with the way you used Murray, it seems like it was really similar to kind of the way you used Alvin. I mean, is that kind of the way you
I would say a little bit, but not quite totally. In fairness to the question, I think there's sometimes that, look, we had two halfbacks up in this game, which is kind of a little bit unusual. Zach's a player that's familiar with the position, and of course, if need be, Taysom's one of those guys that could fill in. But I think in order to run your offense, there's certain things that he might do that maybe would have been plays Alvin might. I mean, it does change for us a little bit relative to personnel groupings. Pardon? We've seen it in training camp, and so we've seen the preseason, and he's extremely competitive. I like that about him. He plays hard, and he's got really, really good ball skills. So, we've gotten some real good production out of him, and in games like this where they were in a lot of four receiver sets, you can't have enough of those guys. Well, look, I think, we obviously we have a lot of football left, and you go through momentum cycles, and sometimes being on different teams, you're trying to create momentum. But I would say this is a pretty close, resilient group, and I think that I think they care a lot about each other, and I think they understand how to win, and they also understand how difficult it is. So you'll have some time away, and then get back in here ready for another home game.
I don't know if you noticed the moment, but the crowd was really cheering for Teddy, even though he was on the sideline. What does it say about what he was doing?
Listen, he was outstanding, and so he appreciates that, and I think look, it's a big reason why we acquired him in the offseason. Sometimes you don't know if you're going to need that. But man, it was good to see the team rally and play well when we needed to, and then to continue that momentum, here when Drew came back. So it's about winning, and with the roster size the way it is, we're going to need and count on everyone.
Sean, did you see anything on film leading up to this
It was really more about our personnel. You know, we had 2 tight ends up with Jared down, so he took some F snaps. With Drew back, you really get 2 players, because when Drew comes back with Teddy, Taysom now can play all 4 core special teams. He can play the tight end, and so a lot of it had to do with his role in the tight red zone. They kind of play a certain look that, kind of give you some underneath throws. That was one of the touchdowns. The big, I think, second down, might have been first down play he completed on the far sideline was a man-to-man, beater. He's a real good football player, and just try to get him as many plays as possible. It's more challenging when he's your second-string quarterback, though. Well, look, there were a handful of runs that we saw. We felt like the last 3 games they played, in which they've won, they were running the ball more effectively, and fortunately we were able to eliminate some of those plays. They were shorthanded too at running back with Johnson not in. So it's more difficult to operate when you're just throwing. All right. Say it again. Jumbo, yeah. Well, look, again, when you're short tight ends, you can bring a bigger body in and run the ball, but you can also bring a bigger body in and throw the ball. So we threw a number of times, not asking him to get out in the route, but again, it's just trying to be efficient with the game day roster. 7 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends. And so a week ago he played a number of snaps there, and he did today as well. All right, thanks.
Welcome back into the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. You just heard from head coach Sean Payton after the New Orleans Saints defeated the Arizona Cardinals 31-9 here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome to advance to 7-1 on the season. JD, you heard it from Sean Payton. He had nothing but good things to say about Latavius Murray, Drew Brees. He wasn't going to put him out there without him being 100%. He said he was throwing the ball well last Monday, and then coming into this week, he knew he's 100%. And as you said earlier, if Drew Brees says he's good to go, you're going to put him out there on the field.
Look, the man said that's the plan. As soon as we asked him, hey, are you going to play on Wednesday? He said that's the plan. And when he says that's the plan, that's the plan. He means he's going to go out there and play. So I don't think it was a huge surprise when he went out and started. Maybe a bit of a surprise that he completes more than almost 80% of his passes, because he was a lot more sharp than you thought he would be after a 5-week layoff. But again, this is his offense. These are the players that are built to play with him and around him. And so for him to get back out there to go along with Michael Thomas 11 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. You get Taysom Hill back into his role receiving. You get a couple of big throws to maybe Ted Ginn Jr. You get a nice big throw to Josh Hill or Dan Arnold. So really, he just fell back in where he left off.
We will be hearing from quarterback Drew Brees hopefully soon. We'll get that over. We'll get you over to the podium as soon as he is at the podium. You said it, JD. I mean, Latavius Murray had a rushing and receiving touchdown. Michael Thomas had a touchdown. Taysom Hill had a touchdown. It was nothing but good things for the Saints offense today. Defensively, again, nothing but good things. 3 sacks for the defense. Shai Tuttle had one. Cameron Jordan and David Onyemata, a big one for David Onyemata. It was about time that he got on the board here for the Saints. But again, time and time again, Cam Jordan seems to just lead this defense by example.
Yeah, they get after the quarterback. And actually, it was a fantastic thing because in the previous 3 games, Kyler Murray had only been sacked 3 times in those 3 games, and they won all 3 of those games. The Saints got to him 4 times today, actually, because Trey Hendrickson got him a couple of times also and was able to get to him. So, and the Saints did the job that they wanted to do against the run again. Only allowed 40 rushing yards. They only allowed 17 last week. And some of that might be that the opponent isn't getting a whole lot of attempts, because I think the Cardinals only ran it 11 times. Chicago only ran it 7 times last week. But some of that has to do with the Saints defense also. They've been able to get ahead, put the opposition in position to where you need to throw to catch up, and they've been taking advantage of it. And then in the secondary, I thought they played probably about as well as they have this season.
Absolutely, and you're without P.J. Williams for the last 2 weeks. You're without Patrick Robinson this game. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, his name always stumps me, really stepped up for this Saints defense, and he I think, had his best game out here tonight.
Yeah, he's jumped up and played extremely well. Then you add in Eli Apple, you add in Marshawn Lattimore, you add in Marcus Williams, Vaughn Bell, and the back end is really in sync with the front end. They're getting all those sacks and getting the pressures. You might have to sometimes cover a little bit longer because the quarterback's scrambling around, but these guys have done a great job, as they say, plastering to receivers, getting up on guys, and forcing incompletions. I think they've done a fantastic job defensively. Again, fifth straight game, I think, that they've allowed the opponent, that held the opponent to less than to 257 yards or less during that span. This is the third time in the last 5 games that they've allowed 10 points or less. 10 points to Dallas, 6 to Jacksonville, and then 9 here today. So
got a lot of numbers in your head.
Yeah, got a lot of numbers jumping around up there, but it's been a really incredible run.
Yeah, just 40 rushing yards for the Arizona Cardinals tonight. Again, you mentioned it, just a lot of numbers going on in our head. And something that we haven't talked about really, JD, is Alex Anzalone went out on IR at the beginning of the season, and Kiko Alonso had to come in and kind of fill in that gap. You've seen Demario Davis, A.J. Klein starting at linebacker for the Saints, but they haven't seemed to skip a beat there at that position.
Yeah, but even more than Kiko, they've been playing a lot of nickel, and that's been C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and that's also been Patrick Williams P.J. Williams when he was out there. So that they've had a lot of nickel coverage in that, and they've only been playing 2 linebackers because they've been able to get away with playing, that way, because, you're attacking teams that are playing 3 receivers against you, and they're playing slot receivers and tight ends who receive. So a lot of times you can get away with that. So yeah, Kiko Alonso's been really good when he's been in there, but it's been jumping off the page what C.J. Gardner-Johnson's been doing, and also P.J. Williams before him. Those guys have been playing the nickel, and they've been playing it extremely well.
Looking ahead at special teams, we talked before the game, Thomas Moore said automatic. Will Lutz, after he got that NFL record for most
consecutive field
goals on the road, he seemed to kind of not fall off, but he's
missed 3 out of his last 5,
right.
And that's going to be a bit of a concern for him because, he's not accustomed to missing field goals at any rate, much less that kind of a rate. So, there's probably something that's going on with the snap hold kick operation that they need to clean up a little bit, because he's generally not the guy to miss those field goals. Now, he missed a 52-yarder in Chicago last week.
Right.
That was straight on, but it was into the wind, and that's a long field goal. So that's almost like a one-off. You almost don't want to count that one. But the one he missed here today and the other one in Chicago, those are the ones that probably will concern him.
What about Deontay Harris? What are you seeing from him? Are you confident? Obviously, he is our punt returner and kick returner, but are you feeling a little bit more confident with him, and you feel like he's a little bit more steady for this?
His decision-making has improved, and he's holding on to the football. And more than anything, you want those 2 things out of your returner. You want him to secure the football, and you want him to make good decisions. Now, being explosive in addition to that, that's a bonus, and he is explosive in addition to that. But first things first, you got to catch it, you got to secure it, and then if you can get the return, you like that. He's been able to do that the last couple of weeks. Again, he had one call back, a touchdown return call back last week. Didn't get that opportunity here today, but still you like the decision-making and the ability to hold on to the football. Those are first and foremost. If he can do that, and the offense is playing this way, and the defense is playing this way, he can fair catch all day long.
Again, we'll be hearing from quarterback Drew Brees here shortly at the podium. We'll get you over to the podium as soon as he is available. JD, going into the bye week, you have a couple guys banged up. You saw Eric McCoy a little bit banged up before the half. He did come back into the game, but obviously Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook. How excited are you to enter this bye week? Just having not a ton of injuries, but some injuries that you'd like an extra week to kind of get these guys back.
You get these guys back healthy. They get an opportunity to get back into practice. They can hopefully establish their rhythm, because they'll have some Saints on Saints. They'll do some self-examination in that, and they'll probably have some one defense against one offense and really get some competition going during these couple of weeks. So you want to get them back in the rhythm. They should be able to hit the field running, you hope, and they'll come back in a big game against the Falcons. I know the Falcons are struggling in the one-loss column, but you can't tell me, and the Saints know, that the Falcons would love nothing better than to come here and to beat the Saints, because the Saints really have been, I don't want to say running over people here, but lately, these last couple of weeks, they've really established themselves as a team to be contented with. If you can do what they did without Drew Brees and then add Drew Brees back and do what they did with Drew Brees, that's got to draw a lot of attention to people saying, you know what, I don't necessarily know if I want to play them anytime soon the way they're going.
And the Falcons did lose today without quarterback Matt Ryan due to a right ankle sprain, but you have to guess that Matt Ryan is going to want to come back
By then,
against the
there's
Saints.
no doubt he won't be. He'll be back by then, and they'll be healthy. And the way they've played these last 5-6 weeks when they've been on this losing streak, throw all of that out the window. They don't like the Saints. The Saints don't like them. They would love nothing better than to be a blemish on the Saints' record. They probably won't be making the playoffs this year, but they certainly would like nothing better than to bloody the Saints' nose on the Saints' way to the playoffs.
At halftime today, we did see Reggie Bush and Marcus Colston honored at halftime for entering the Saints Hall of Fame. You were around when those two guys were playing.
Is that a way to call me old?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. I mean, 27 years covering the team. You're not exactly the youngest guy.
That's okay.
What do you have to say about the quiet storm, first of all? I mean,
Well, that's my guy.
I know. JD loves Marcus Colston.
I'm biased on Colston. He can't do any wrong. So I'm biased on that one. So you might as well skip to Reggie because that's my guy. He's always been a fantastic player. He's always been a great person. The franchise all-time leader in touchdowns, all-time leader in receptions, all-time leader in receiving yards, and just a dependable guy who went about his business, didn't say a whole lot. The thing that Drew Brees always says about him is you knew where Marcus was going to be. Mm-hmm. And you can't ask for anything more than that, than to have that consistency where you know where your teammate's going to be.
What about Reggie Bush? I mean, he said that he felt like when he came in, he had a service to bring a Super Bowl back to this city, and that's exactly what he did, and he did it in pretty good fashion, I'd say.
Well, it's kind of easy to forget that Reggie came in as the face of the franchise in 2006. Now, yeah, Drew Brees was the big signature free agent signing, but Reggie was the number 2 overall pick that everybody thought was going to go number 1 overall. He was the flashy guy from USC, the Heisman winner, and he was the guy who was electrifying, and he was the face of the franchise coming in, and Brees kind of took over and assumed that mantle just through his quietness, and he continues to produce and his excellence. But Reggie came in as a guy who really juiced this city. I don't know if they have a season ticket sellout if not Reggie Bush is drafted that year. He was that big of an impact on this team, and then they start playing well with him. And Reggie certainly had some moments with the Saints, so he's deserving of the honor because he was a guy who was pretty electrifying. He was a great punt returner. He was a fantastic receiver out of the backfield, and he was a lot better runner than people maybe thought he was or gave him credit for. Everybody wanted to see him run between the tackles, and they used to fuss because he'd get on the edges outside. Well, look, Reggie probably weighs about 200 pounds. 205. Nobody wants to run in there and just get beat up all the time. So I think he really gave the franchise a boost when it needed it the most.
They were honored today at halftime here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome as well as last night. You can check out that video and photos on NewOrleansSaints.com or the Saints app. JD, touching back on the Saints offense, you do have Drew Brees back, and it seemed like Michael Thomas was a little bit more comfortable with Drew Brees to have him back. Not that he was uncomfortable with Teddy Bridgewater, but obviously you have a lot more rhythm. You have a lot more game reps with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas at quarterback.
Yeah, this is his 4th season with Drew. They've got a lot of time on task, as they like to say, a lot of practice reps, a lot of reps in the offseason. So they're more familiar with one another. And he was establishing that, I think, with Teddy Bridgewater. If Teddy had been in the lineup another 7-8 weeks, he might have looked exactly like they looked out here today. But having already have that rapport with Drew Brees, again, he's turning into a Marcus Colston for Brees, where he knows where Michael Thomas is going to be. If there's going to be a 3rd and 4, he's going to run that slant, and Michael is big. He's going to get in front of that DB, and that DB will not be able to keep him from getting to the football. He knows exactly what he's going to get out of Michael Thomas. That's the biggest compliment you can give a guy. I think Michael has earned that now from Drew, and to go out there again today, and I don't want to say it's as easy as he makes it look. He makes it look like anybody can throw it to him. It's not that easy. It takes a lot of work, and he and Drew have a lot of work together.
Another guy we saw out wide at wide receiver position was Deontay Harris, which is something we've seen Sean Payton kind of tattle with a little bit. But would you like to see a little bit more of Deontay Harris out at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, and I think they want to see a little bit more of him out there because if you can get him on the edge one-on-one, he'll show some of that punt returning abilities. In fact, we saw it on the 3rd down here today where he's able to juke one defender, get under another for a 9-yard gain to convert a 3rd and 7. He's got that kind of ability. Yeah, he's a small guy, but if you can get him out there one-on-one on the edges, that's the perfect situation for him. You want to get him in space and allow him to make somebody miss and make a big play.
Again, you're watching the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Arizona Cardinals today 31-9 here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. We're going to go ahead and let you watch some highlights from today's game.
Hill was in. Here's Brees. There's Hill. On the move and belts it from the punt. Brees first and 10, wide open. Michael Thomas. Oh, got a great block from Hill. Breaking tackles. Zach line with Murray line a block. Another great block in there on that touchdown run by Andrus Peat. With a 2nd down and 7 right here, winding up and now going underneath Murray. Pushed out by Reddick. Did he get to the pylon? He ran over it. Fake to Murray. Blocked by Armstead. Wide open. They've got Josh Hill. From behind, they can go. Brees. Touchdown. Taysom Hill. Quick slant, Thomas breaks one. They take him into the end zone with Peterson on his back. That is a 9-yard touchdown pass.
JD, we've talked a lot about the Saints offense, and before we get onto that, we'll hear from Drew Brees here in a second at the podium. Again, the New Orleans Saints defeated the Arizona Cardinals today 31-9. JD, let's touch on the defense a little bit more. Again, I was talking about it earlier. Cam Jordan just continues to lead this defense. Demario Davis, which you saw a lot of the headbands today in the crowd, which is awesome to see. Obviously, you followed that storyline, but Saints defense just seems very, very comfortable with where they're at.
Yeah, Saints were the number 2 run defense in the league last year. I think allowing about 90 yards a game. They should be pretty close to that right now because after back-to-back weeks of allowing 17 and now 40, they've jumped right back into the top 5 and maybe into that top spot. And that's really where this defense begins. You got to stop the run. You got to make the opponent one-dimensional, and then you can just get after the quarterback. And it helps when you can build the lead, and they've been able to do that during this now 6-game winning streak. And the previous 4 games, they were only allowing 16 points a game. Now that's going to go down because they only allowed 9 today. They've been phenomenal, really. Again, I mentioned during that streak, 3 times they've allowed 10 points, 6 points, 9 points. That's got to be a big boost to any defense. Look, they came into this season saying, we want to be the top defense in the league. We saw a stretch of games last season, about a 6-game stretch where they allowed right around 13 points and about 300 yards a game. They're in that kind of groove, and now it's earlier in the season that they're in that kind of groove. So, again, if anybody wants to see this season extend and not have a bye week, it's this defense the way they're playing right now.
And you get P.J. Williams back when you come back from the bye week as well. But we talked about it earlier. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been playing exceptionally well as a slot defender. So how does that change when P.J. comes back?
Well, you just get depth. I mean, P.J.'s an experienced defender, so he and C.J. can scrap it out for that nickel spot. And I don't think you lose either way because you've got 2 guys who can handle those duties. Don't forget P.J. Williams is very good in coverage. He will tackle. He creates turnovers. He does all of those things. Now having C.J. Gardner-Johnson back there and showing the ability that they thought they had when they drafted him out of Florida. They weren't exactly sure, but now they know.
We're going to go ahead and go to Drew Brees at the podium.
Good. It felt really good. Obviously, the last 5 weeks have been tough. Just rehabbing, just trying to get healthy again. But I felt like early on there was a lot of excitement, and maybe shaking the rust off a little bit. But I love I love the game. Love being out there with my teammates, and I think just starting practice this week and getting through it. I was hoping this would be the week. This was kind of the week that I had in my mind from the moment that I got hurt. I think the doctors and everybody were saying after the bye week, but I was trying to fast track that as much as possible. But understanding that there's a healing process that needs to take place. But man, let's try to push this as much as we can. And a lot of it was just ability to get a grip on the ball and be able to throw the ball accurately and just be myself and not think about it and be able to play confidently. And so as soon as I could grip it and rip it, then I wanted to play. I wanted to be out there with my teammates. Well, I thought we were better on third down. It felt like we sustained a lot of really long drives. I felt like throughout the game, and that was a big emphasis coming into this game, knowing the explosiveness of their team on the other side. And so it's, man, let's possess the ball as much as possible, keep it out of their hands, keep it out of Kyler Murray's hands, and, take care of the football and try to generate points. And, first half was disappointing just in the fact that I felt like we had put together, 4 really good drives, going down into the red zone, and really only walked away with 6 points, or 10 points, I guess. But I think the second half we felt like, that's when I think we do a lot of our best work, from the standpoint that I think our halftime adjustments and then just our ability to come out and execute and wear a team down and then begin to score touchdowns, which is what we were able to do in the second half. Defense played great throughout the game. Felt like managed a lot of their playmakers. Got a couple big fourth down stops, and special teams did a good job as well. Go ahead.
Was there a moment this week that you sat down with Sean, or you went to Sean and said, I'm good to go? And at what point was that, I guess?
So I've been on a throwing schedule, over the last couple weeks, and starting off with a really light ball, Nerf ball even, and then kind of progressing my way to the same size and same weight as NFL ball. I felt like the progression was indicating this would be the week. And so, last week, really Saturday, told him that I felt like next week was going to be the week. I was going to throw on Monday again, and then was going to be ready to go on, at practice on Wednesday. And so that was the process. That was the plan, and basically just stuck to the plan, and it all worked out the way that we had predicted.
Was there one throw in this game that when you made it, you said, this is going to be good?
No, I mean, I felt like, I'd say that really took place in practice. Thursday practice was when I felt like, all right, I'm able to make all the throws I need to make.
Are you anticipating maybe soreness tomorrow, see how it responds? Do you think it's going to be
No,
fine?
I think it's going to be okay. I think just the level of healing, I haven't been reckless with this. I wore that splint today, and I've been in touch with the doctor, and I've gotten an MRI, and he had a chance to look at the level of healing, and everything kind of had to pass certain parameters, in order for this to happen. And I think we, the team, as in Sean Payton, doctor, therapist, everybody felt like I was good to go.
What was that you were wearing? We could undertake that there was still.
Yeah, there's a hard plastic splint, and I wear on the outside of my thumb.
And that's something you're hoping to shed as early as the next game.
I hope so. Yeah.
But it ended up being,
Yeah, it
did
was
you
okay.
practice with it on
Yeah,
Wednesday?
yeah, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it didn't end up being too much of a burden.
No. And that's evolved. We've worked with it to develop a comfort level. As a quarterback, you don't like having a hard plastic splint on your thumb to throw a ball. I'd rather not have to have it, but
And the interception, did that ball sail on you?
Nope.
The decision was-
Bad decision. Should not have thrown that ball. I got a little greedy. Just Mike Thomas is wide open underneath. So throw it to him and live to play another day.
You watched Latavius last week, and then you played with him this week. I mean, just how did you like what he was able to do 2 weeks without Kamara? He took the brunt of carries, and of course throwing the football. He threw a lot to him.
Yeah, he did a great job. I can't say enough good things about him. Man, he's a pro. He's a ball player. Really great, as the workhorse running the football, but a very good back out of the backfield. And I don't know how many catches he ended up with, but it felt like a lot. It felt like he was a great outlet, and was getting us a lot of positive yards, a lot of positive plays, getting us into third and manageable situations just by being able to dump it off to him. And then the touchdown catch was just it was a great all around play by him to get open and then turn what's normally a 7-yard gain into a 17-yard touchdown. And he came up to me on the sideline after and he said, and believe it or not, many years as I've played, that's my first touchdown catch. So there you go. You guys got to write about that. No, it's all his. All his. He earned it.
Did you see something pre-snap? It looked like you whispered something to him right before that play.
Yeah, I changed his route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great call.
Did you hear the chance for Teddy? And I guess, how does he feel maybe about something like that if you spoke to him? And what does it say about
Yeah. You know, I think he, you know, he's obviously very, you know, calm, poised guy, you know, so I don't think you're ever going to get over the top emotion, you know, out of Teddy, but then that's why I think he's just calm, cool, collected, you know, and but man, I can't say enough great things about Teddy and his leadership over the last 5 weeks. You know, he basically stepped into the role that obviously I would normally have, and as far as addressing the team and addressing skill players and different things throughout the week. And I mean, he was the starting quarterback, right? And he took on that role, not just the guy throwing the ball or the guy handing off the ball, but the guy being the in charge of the huddle and being a leader. And he did a great job with it. And I think the offense responded, the team responded. So I can't say enough good things about him. And I love the fact that our fan base has embraced him the way that they have, because he's a tremendous teammate. And obviously he was a big part of our success over the last few weeks. And listen, you know, I hope I'm able to stay healthy for the rest of the go, you know. But knowing that you have a guy like that, that the guys love so much and the guys trust and is as capable as he is, that's a great thing to have.
Did the hands stay clean all game, or did you ever get a nick? Or
Yeah, he got hit a few times, so that was good. You know, just bang and all right, we're good. You know, I think that's one thing you can't really simulate, right? I can do a lot of things in practice, but I'm not really going to say, hey, somebody run into my hand real quick. Let me see how this feels. You know, just kind of wait and see how that goes. But it ended up being okay.
Offensive tackles that are protecting you and were defensive Teddy was sort of a murderous row pass rushers. I mean, is that as good a place in that position?
Yeah, listen, they Ramczyk, Armstead, those guys have done a phenomenal job all year long. And yeah, you know, tackle, man, you get put on an island. You know, I mean, when you talk about the O-line, you really have to talk about it as a unit, right? They are a unit, and they have to work together, and it's communication, and it's, you know, all those things, and it's my communication with them as well, right? Throughout the week, game day, you name it. But at the end of the day, once it's all sorted out, it's the one-on-one matchups, right? It's the one-on-one battles, and they pretty much know who those guys are going to be each week. And man, here we go, mano a mano, and those guys have done a phenomenal job. Step up to whatever challenge is presented before them. You know, they're just warriors. Warriors, love them.
To be 7-1 at this point, you miss games, Ramirez miss games, that you guys are right there. Who kind of stick do you think that makes about this group?
Well, I think it means that number one, we've got a lot of great players. We've got a lot of great guys, great teammates, guys that love coming to work. Man, listen, we know how to have fun, right? We had lights and smoke and everything else in the locker room after the game, you know, having a great time. Turned into Studio 54 or something. But, like, we know how to have fun, but the level of work matches the level of fun. You know what I'm saying? We work hard to be in this position. And I think we understand that at times, man, we're going to face adversity. At times, guys are going to need to step up and play, but we're all in this together. And none more so evident than what's happened, you know, over the last 6 weeks, right? All kinds of guys stepping up and playing lights out and playing together and just continuing to come together as a team, and then just builds confidence, right? Because you feel like, man, no matter what situation we get in, this team has a chance, you know, and when you believe that, when you trust that, it gives you a lot of confidence.
Drew, did you feel rusty at all in the first half? And if so, like, how would it compare to like week one coming off not playing preseason?
Yeah, well, just the fact that, you know, I hadn't practiced for 5 weeks, right? And just when you start throwing again and just that progression of, listen, I played football a long time, you know, so I feel like even if I've missed a bunch of time, I can pick up the ball and I can figure it out, you know. But still, there is that repetition and that rhythm that comes along with the practice reps and, you know, the day-to-day and the week-to-week. And so, you know, coming back, you know, I felt like I might have to shake it off a little bit, you know, shake off the rust a little bit. But yeah, I think once we got into the second half, though, I felt like we were rolling.
I think the spark was
Oh, yeah, it's huge. It was huge. All those, because any fourth down stop is basically like a takeaway. It's the equivalent of, right? And so I think the momentum shift that comes along with something like that is really big for the team.
Joe, was this like a regular game day for you, or did you have trouble sleeping last night? What was it like?
No, I mean, I definitely had some butterflies, maybe a little more than usual. I think a lot of it was excitement, And then as game time approached, that just turned into gratitude. Just grateful for the opportunity to get back out there again. I'm grateful for this team and grateful for just this moment and being able to have this moment. And I feel like there's a lot of great moments ahead, but I'm going to really appreciate each and every one of them one at a time, try to stay in the moment and, really make the most of it.
Were there any decisions that you would have made during the game to minimize exposure of your throwing and your follow through, such as just
No. No.
play the same way you always
Play ball, man. Play ball. It's just part of the deal. If you're worried about somebody stepping on something or somebody, rolling up on something or hitting something or whatever, nah, you just got to play fast and take it as it comes.
Drew, what about your opinion of Kyler? I know that kind of a Texas native QB that obviously had success in high school and state that you did as well. What was your message to him after the game, a young rookie like that?
Yeah. Man, it's fun to watch him play. Just from the highlights, I didn't have a chance to see a ton of today, just because locked in on my stuff. But the times where I did, he's electric, Like, I feel bad for pass rushers having to go up against him, Guys can have a free run on a guy like him, and you might not even touch him, right? He has a way of extending plays and then getting the ball down the field that's pretty remarkable. And so, listen, when you go from college to NFL, obviously there's that big adjustment, just the speed of the game and obviously the level of talent that you're going up against. And just, I think the way that games are played, it's not so much kind of run and shoot, like it is in college. There's definitely more of a level of, I think, just kind of detail and just certain things that, produce winning football in the league. But listen, I'm really impressed with the job that Cliff Kingsbury's done, and obviously that Kyler Murray is doing. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be really good here in the future.
There were a lot of fans that were worried about you coming out there today. Did you get a sense of that at all? Did anybody stop you to grocery store or anything?
Yeah. I guess so. I did. Maybe not at the grocery store, but I know the thought would be, hey, why don't you just wait until after the bye week? Everything seems to be going well, right? And so why take the chance? Man, I'm a football player, and I like I said, just that gratitude that kind of came over me right before this game is just that I'm blessed to play this game, and I love this game, and I love my teammates. I love being with them. I love going out on the field with them, and that was my motivating factor, through this whole thing, is get back so I can be healthy, so I can play for those guys. And as soon as I could get back, I was going to get back. I didn't care about anything else. That would have been the safe bet, safe play to do that. But I love the game. I love my teammates. I want to get out there with them. All right, guys.
All right, that was quarterback Drew Brees, who is obviously happy to be back here on the playing field, had a smile just planted on his face. Again, the New Orleans Saints defeat the Arizona Cardinals today 31-9 here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. They will enter the bye week 7-1 off of a 6-game win streak. They will come back here to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome on November 10th to take on the Atlanta Falcons at noon. That'll do it for today's New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, joined by John DeShazier. Thanks for tuning in.